There are pains that arrive without making a sound. They give no warning. They don't strike suddenly. They just show up one day, as if they'd always been there. You get out of bed and struggle to stand. You climb a staircase and feel a twinge in your knee. Bending down to pick something up is no longer so easy. And in that moment you realize something has changed. Over the years, our body starts speaking in whispers, and all too often we don't hear it until it's too late. Bones do not scream, joints do not cry, but when they decide to stop functioning, they do so without mercy. In an instant, you can lose your independence, your mobility, your confidence in walking, and all because of something that began long ago, in silence. There's a truth almost nobody mentions. It's not just age that limits us. Often, it's the hidden enemies we let into our lives unknowingly. Little daily choices, habits that seem harmless, foods we enjoy without thinking, routines that bit by bit damage our internal structures. Those enemies make no noise. They raise no alarm. But each day, each week, each year, they weaken our bones, inflame our joints, and steal our freedom to move without pain. Until one day, leaving home becomes hard. Sitting down hurts. Sleeping is uncomfortable. And you wonder, how did I end up here? In this video, I'm going to reveal the 6 silent killers that are destroying the bones and joints of millions of older adults without their knowledge. Some live in what you eat, others in what you do, or neglect to do. And there's one that's probably part of your nightly routine just before you fall asleep. But it's not too late to become aware. It's not too late to understand what's happening in your body and begin to protect the most precious thing you have, your ability to move freely. Because walking without pain isn't a luxury. It's a right you must defend. Before continuing, tell me in the comments, how old are you? And from which country are you watching me? I want to know who I'm talking to, because this information can help you more than you imagine. Killer number 1, inactivity disguised as rest. Since childhood, we've been taught that rest is good, that when you're tired, you should sit down, that if something hurts, the best thing is not to move it. And upon reaching a certain age, that advice seems stronger than ever. You don't have to push yourself anymore. Take it easy. Protect your joints. Don't walk so much. But what few mention is that this misunderstood rest can become a silent sentence. The enemy isn't always overexertion. Sometimes the true killer is lack of movement. With age, it's natural for our strength to wane a bit. But when we stop moving entirely, when we spend whole days sitting or lying down to avoid straining the body, what we're actually doing without realizing it is accelerating deterioration. Prolonged inactivity weakens muscles, atrophies joints, and reduces the natural lubrication that protects our bones. Cartilage, that soft layer that keeps bones from grinding together, wears away even faster when there's no movement. And without cartilage, pain becomes constant. Every step hurts. Every attempt to stand becomes a challenge. Let me tell you the story of Rosemary, an 80-year-old woman I met a few months ago. Rosemary lived alone, was active, and enjoyed morning walks. But one day she began to feel a slight ache in her knee. Nothing severe, just a nuisance. She went to the doctor and, as often happens, was told it was natural wear and tear of age. Worried about worsening the pain, Rosemary made a decision. She stopped walking. She thought that if she didn't stress her knees, she'd avoid further damage. She began using the car for everything. Then she avoided climbing stairs. Soon enough, she spent most of her day seated. "I'm resting," she'd say. But in less than a year, Rosemary couldn't board a bus alone. Next, she couldn't walk without assistance. Eventually, she ended up depending on a wheelchair to move around her own home. Not because of an illness, not because of a fall, but because of a more common enemy: immobility disguised as care. And the hardest part is that this pattern repeats thousands of times every day. Older adults who give up prematurely, thinking that by stopping movement they're protecting themselves, when in reality, they're hastening the loss of their own independence. The good news is you don't need to run marathons or lift weights to stay strong. Just walk a little each day. Climb and descend a few stairs. Do gentle stretches upon waking. Every bit of movement counts. And the more consistent you are, the more you'll protect your bones, your muscles, and your freedom. Because the human body is made to move, and when you stop using it, it begins to shut down. Remember this, moving a little every day can mean the difference between standing on your own 2 feet or depending on a chair, between having autonomy or needing help even to go to the bathroom. Don't let false rest rob you of the life you can still enjoy. Killer number 2, eating well but missing essential nutrients. There's a phrase I hear often from older adults: I eat well, I never skip a meal. And when I ask them what eating well means, the answer almost always includes bread, rice, noodles, a bit of meat, coffee with milk, and something sweet in the afternoon. Nothing unusual, nothing extreme, the usual fare. But here's the problem. Eating enough doesn't mean you're nourished. And many older adults are eating abundantly, yet with a diet that leaves their bones hollow inside. Over the years, the body needs more than just energy. It needs building materials, and that includes calcium, vitamin D, magnesium, collagen, vitamin K2, among others. They are the bricks and cement supporting your structure. Without them, your bones grow fragile, your joints dry out, and every step you take can become an unseen threat. Let me share the case of Mr. Emmanuel, a 78-year-old man, strong, active, good digestion, no diabetes, no high cholesterol. Yet for 2 years he faced a nightmare. He fractured his arm from a minor fall, then his ankle descending a step, and later a vertebra just by lifting a shoebox. When his diet was analyzed, this is what was found. Breakfast of white bread with butter and coffee with milk. Lunch of rice, fried meat and soda. Afternoon cookies with more coffee. Dinner a sandwich with boxed juice. No fresh fruit, no green vegetables, no legumes, no nuts or seeds. He barely went out in the sun and had never taken vitamin D supplements. On paper, he ate well. He never went hungry, but his bones were malnourished. And here's where many go wrong. We don't notice our diet harming our skeleton until the damage is real. Excess sugars, refined flours, processed meats, and alcohol inflame the body, hinder calcium absorption, and accelerate bone mass loss. Even foods we consider good can turn into enemies if consumed improperly. Coffee, for example, in small amounts can be an acceptable stimulant, but consumed in excess, especially combined with high-fat or sugary dairy, it can increase calcium loss through urine. Many older adults drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day without realizing its effect on their bones. Dairy has a dark side too. While it supplies calcium, if overconsumed, particularly ultra-processed products like sweetened yogurts, fatty cheeses, or dairy desserts, it can acidify the body. And when the body is acidic, it seeks to neutralize. How? By leaching minerals such as calcium from the bones. That's why the secret isn't eating more, but eating well and intelligently. A diet rich in leafy greens, oily fish, legumes, nuts, seeds, and fermented foods can make all the difference. And if sunlight isn't part of your daily routine, vitamin D3 supplements can be great allies. Your bones don't need quantity, they need quality. And that quality lies in nutrients, not calories. So ask yourself today, are you eating to fill up or to nourish? Because your next fall won't be a matter of luck, but of what you put on your plate each day. Killer number 3, chronic and silent inflammation. There's an enemy living inside the body, settling in slowly and working silently. It doesn't hurt at first. It doesn't cause fever. It doesn't provoke a cough or dizziness. But day by day, it destroys the structures that let us move, bend, walk, get up. This enemy is called chronic silent inflammation. Unlike acute inflammation, like when you bang your foot or sprain your ankle which swells, reddens and hurts, chronic inflammation gives no visible signals. It doesn't produce a clear symptom. It's more like an ember burning under ash. You don't see it, but it keeps blazing. What does it burn here? Your joints, tendons, ligaments, cartilage, everything that holds your body together starts to deteriorate slowly. And one day, without warning, you feel your knee no longer responds, your hip creaks, your lower back aches all day, or your fingers puff up for no apparent reason. Many older adults think this is simply aging, but it's not. It's inflammation. And the good news is, you can prevent it if you know where it begins. Do you know where it usually starts? On your plate. Ultra-processed foods, industrial vegetable oils like soybean, canola, or corn oil, fried foods, packaged cookies and candies, cured meats like ham, cold cuts, sausages. They're all pro-inflammatory. They not only cause weight gain, they alter the immune system, trigger constant inflammatory responses, and wear down joint tissues. Imagine your knees are hinges on a door. If you clean and oil them, they'll last for years. But if every day you coat them in dust, dirty grease and strike them, over time they'll seize up, rust, and begin to fail. That's how inflammation works. It's the grime accumulating until you can't move like before. And the most dangerous part is it doesn't always announce itself with sharp pain. Sometimes signs are very subtle. For example, you feel stiffer in the mornings, but blame the mattress. Your fingers wake swollen, but you think it's the weather. You struggle to bend or climb stairs, but call it just age. You feel constant fatigue, but chalk it up to poor sleep. Silent inflammation can also manifest as heavy digestion, mood swings, difficulty concentrating, or even brain fog. And believe it or not, everything is connected. What you eat affects how you think, how you move, and how you age. Now, how do you fight this silent killer? With small but powerful choices. Swap your cooking oil for extra virgin olive oil. Minimize packaged products. Include more whole foods, brightly colored vegetables, turmeric, oily fish, low-sugar fruits, nuts, seeds, and move every day, even just a little. Movement is a natural anti-inflammatory. So today, before making your next food choice, ask yourself, will this calm the ember or stoke it? Because every silent decision you make could be building a life with greater freedom, or one filled with pain. Killer number 4, poor posture and inadequate furniture. You don't need a fall or accident to damage your bones and joints. Sometimes the greatest harm comes from what you do every day, unnoticed. A gesture you repeat 1,000 times, a posture adopted by habit, a comfortable piece of furniture that's really sabotaging your body over the years. This silent killer is called poor posture, and it works hand in hand with its accomplice, furniture ill-suited for older bodies. Think about it. How do you sit when watching television? How is your back positioned when you're reading? Do you sink into your favorite armchair and then struggle to get up? Every time you sit with a rounded back, shoulders forward, or hips lower than knees, you create micro-traumas in your joints, and over years, those tiny injuries become chronic. This isn't exaggerated. Studies show how spinal alignment and pelvic position, when seated directly, impact wear and tear on hips, knees, and lower back. Bad postures held for hours and repeated daily reshape bone structure and strain muscles, causing pain. Let me tell you about Mrs. Teresa, a 78-year-old woman who always claimed her armchair was her refuge. It was deep, soft, with big cushions. Every afternoon she'd sink into it to watch her soap operas. But over time, she began feeling constant discomfort in her right hip. Then came pain when walking. At first she thought it was age, then presumed arthritis. But when she finally saw the doctor, she was surprised by the diagnosis. Her problem was postural. The overly soft chair made her pelvis rotate slightly to one side, pressing a specific area of her hip. Since that was her habitual position for hours each day, the damage accumulated until it became debilitating. And here's the truth. Not all furniture is made for older bodies. Overly soft chairs, low sofas, cushions that misalign the spine, they all contribute to chronic pain without us noticing. And worst of all, since there's no single blow or clear injury, we simply attribute it to aging. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't need to see a physiotherapist to start correcting it. Here are some simple yet powerful tips. Always sit with your feet flat on the floor. Knees should be at or slightly above hip level. Avoid very soft seats. Choose firmer surfaces that won't collapse under you. Support your entire back. Use a small cushion at the lumbar area to maintain natural curve. Don't cross your legs for prolonged periods. It tilts the pelvis and causes lower back pain. When rising, lean slightly forward and use your arms to push up, not your lower back. Most importantly, change your posture every 30 to 40 minutes. Even if you feel comfortable, your body needs movement. Shifting position, stretching a bit, taking a few steps can make a huge difference in how your joints feel by day's end. So before blaming age for that constant ache, ask yourself, could my body simply be reacting to years of poor posture? Sometimes the first step toward healing is changing your chair. Killer number 5, lack of deep, restorative sleep. There's a time of day when your body should be doing its most important work, while you do nothing. That time is when you sleep, or rather, when you sleep well. Because it's not just about closing your eyes, it's about reaching that deep state where cells regenerate, tissues repair, and the body rebuilds itself from within. When you don't sleep well, it's not just fatigue you face. You become weaker, more inflamed, and more susceptible to the silent deterioration of your bones and joints. During deep sleep, the body activates a kind of nightly restoration factory. Growth hormone levels rise, cortisol is regulated, the immune system strengthens, and repair of damaged tissues begins. But if that sleep never comes, or is constantly interrupted, the factory never starts, and day after day, wear accumulates. Let me share the story of Mr. Emmanuel, a 76-year-old man who'd worked all his life as a mechanic. Always strong, one of those who never complained. But from his 60s onward, he suffered sleep problems. He'd wake every 2 or 3 hours. He never truly rested. And since it was gradual, he thought it was just part of getting older. By 72, the pain in his knees was unbearable. He struggled climbing steps, walking more than 5 minutes, or standing in his garden. When he saw the doctor, he was diagnosed with advanced osteoarthritis in both knees. And you know what his tests revealed? It wasn't just mechanical wear. His body showed signs of chronic inflammation, low collagen levels, and a weakened immune system. The specialist was clear. Years of insomnia had prevented his joints from regenerating. Poor sleep isn't only an energy issue, it's a direct factor in health deterioration. Sleeping is far more than rest. It's a natural daily treatment your body needs to stay strong. When you don't sleep well, your body produces more cortisol, the stress hormone that inflames and weakens bones. Melatonin production is interrupted, and besides aiding sleep, it's a powerful antioxidant protecting tissues. Collagen synthesis is impaired, and collagen is essential for cartilage and joints. The immune system weakens, exacerbating any existing inflammation. Thus, each poorly slept night becomes another brick in the wall of chronic pain. But the good news is, sleep can be improved, without pills or harsh medications. Here are simple strategies that can help. Consistent routine. Go to bed and wake up at the same time daily, even on weekends. The body loves regular rhythms. Total darkness. Avoid screens an hour before bed. Turn off bright lights. Melatonin only works in the dark. Ideal temperature. The body sleeps best in a cool environment, between 18 and 20 degrees. Use light bedding. Natural infusions, chamomile, valerian, or lavender, help relax the nervous system without side effects. Avoid heavy meals or alcohol before bed. Both disrupt deep sleep, even if you fall asleep easily. And one more thing, your bedroom must be a sanctuary for rest. Don't work or watch the news in bed. Teach your body that the bed is only for sleeping. Remember this, every well-slept night is a night of repair for your bones and joints. Don't underestimate its power, because sometimes the best medicine isn't something you take, it's something you sleep. Killer number 6, medications that weaken your bones without warning. There's something that perhaps no one has told you. Sometimes it isn't your age, your diet, or your habits. Sometimes what's weakening your bones is sitting right in your medicine cabinet. And the most worrying part is that many of these drugs are prescribed by doctors themselves, without a clear warning about their long-term effects on bone health. Let's be frank, there are very common medications that, when used over long periods, can cause bone mass loss, reduce absorption of essential nutrients, and even increase your risk of fractures or falls. One of the best known, but least mentioned examples is omeprazole and other acid reflux drugs. They're frequently prescribed to treat reflux or gastritis. But what many don't realize is that by reducing stomach acidity, they also hinder absorption of calcium, magnesium, and vitamin B12, all essential to keeping bones strong. Over time, this gastric protection can become a silent trap for your spine, hips, or wrists. Let me tell you about Rose, a 78-year-old woman who led a relatively active life. She cooked, gardened, and even took daily walks with her neighbor. But when she began to suffer from stomach discomfort, her doctor prescribed omeprazole just to be safe. Not for weeks, but for years. No one warned her this drug should be used only for a limited time. Over the years, Rose began to stoop and felt lower back pain, which she dismissed as just age, until a minor fall ended in a vertebral fracture. When doctors investigated, they discovered she had severe osteoporosis, partly due to almost a decade of omeprazole use, which had blocked her calcium absorption. And this isn't an isolated case. Other medications that can seriously affect your bone health include corticosteroids, like prednisone, used for inflammation, arthritis, allergies, or autoimmune diseases. Long-term use decreases new bone formation and accelerates bone tissue breakdown. Antidepressants, particularly selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, can impair balance and raise fall risk, plus negatively impact bone mineral density. Anticonvulsants alter vitamin D metabolism, which is crucial for bone maintenance. Certain antibiotics, those that affect calcium or magnesium metabolism, can interfere with bone health if used frequently or without supervision. Of course, we're not suggesting you stop your medications abruptly. That's never the answer. But you do deserve to understand what you're taking and to speak with your doctor with clear, direct questions. Here are some you might ask at your next appointment. Could this medication affect my bone health in the long run? Is there a safer alternative for someone my age? Should I take calcium or vitamin D supplements while on this treatment? How often should I have my bone density checked if I remain on this drug? Can we plan a gradual taper or a treatment re-evaluation? Remember, you have the right to understand how treatments affect your whole body, not just the symptom they aim to relieve. Because caring for your bones isn't just about exercise or diet, it's also about knowledge, awareness of what you consume daily, and refusing indefinite treatments without asking questions. Your bones don't scream until they break. Your spine doesn't protest until it's too late. But if you pay attention today, you can avoid tomorrow's pain. But I walk every day. Myths about activity and joint pain. But I walk every day. I've heard that phrase more times than I can count. Well-meaning folks believe that just by stepping outside, their bones and joints are safe. But the truth is this: not all movement is good, and not every exercise helps. In fact, certain ways of walking, exercising, or even standing can accelerate joint wear without you realizing it. Does any of this sound familiar? Dragging your feet when you walk, wearing hard, unsupportive shoes, taking long walks on pavement without a proper warm-up, repeating the same route endlessly, feeling knee discomfort but pushing on because you have to move. What seems harmless over the years adds up to micro-traumas. Every misstep, every ill-fitting shoe, every repeated movement in poor posture leaves a tiny mark on your knees, ankles, hips, or spine. It's time to distinguish between moving and moving well. Movement is life, but not just any movement. Your body needs variety, gentleness, and awareness. It's about quality, not merely quantity. And with age, that difference becomes even more critical. Let me share the story of Mr. Lewis, an 83-year-old man who walked the same neighborhood loop every day, at the same pace, in the same pair of worn-out sneakers he'd had for over 5 years. Rain or shine, he'd head out, and at first it was admirable. But eventually he felt pain in one knee, then the other, and later in his hip. It must be age, he thought. But it wasn't just age. It was technique. Mr. Louis walked with a slight forward lean, almost imperceptible. His steps were short, and he struck the ground with his heels incorrectly. Repeating that flawed movement thousands of times a month, he accumulated wear and tear. What had seemed a healthy routine landed him at the orthopedist with anti-inflammatories and orders to rest. All because he didn't realize you also need to walk well. So what kinds of activity truly protect your joints and may even help them regenerate? Swimming. The water supports your weight, allowing you to move joints without impact. It's one of the most complete exercises for older adults. Walking on soft surfaces. Paths of dirt or grass reduce knee and hip impact compared to concrete. Gentle yoga. Slow poses with mindful breathing. Stretch and strengthen without strain. Ideal for restoring mobility and balance. Senior-friendly Pilates. Builds the deep muscles that support joints, corrects posture, and improves body control. And if walking is all you can manage, do it mindfully. Wear good shoes, keep your spine upright, take firm yet gentle steps, and use a well-chosen cane if needed. It can help more than you imagine. The key is intelligent movement, not out of habit or duty, but with attention, care, and purpose. Because movement can be medicine, or it can be wear and tear. The choice is yours. The first symptoms. You mustn't ignore. Bones and joints don't scream. They whisper. It's not like a bleeding wound or a fever that knocks you into bed. Bone and joint deterioration is silent, slow, and often ignored, until one day you realize it's harder to rise from a chair than it was 5 years ago. And by then it's too late to reverse the damage. That's why, if you're watching this, and you're over 60, 70, or 80, pay close attention. Today, I'll cover the small, almost invisible symptoms that most people ignore, but which are the first warning bells your body sends when something's off. Morning stiffness. Have you ever woken up feeling your knees locked? That need for a few minutes to warm up? That kind of stiffness, which eases after a little movement, isn't normal aging. It signals mild joint inflammation or a drop in synovial fluid, the lubricant for your joints. Cracks or pops when you move. We joke, my bones are just saying hello. But if those sounds come with a gritty sensation or happen frequently, they may indicate early cartilage wear, meaning your natural cushion between bones is thinning, potentially leading to osteoarthritis if unaddressed. Subtle twinges. Those brief, sharp pains when climbing stairs, bending down, or stretching. They aren't unbearable, so we often ignore them. Yet they're precisely the kind of discomfort that appears in early chronic inflammation or micro-injuries. If they recur in the same spots or last longer than usual, they're not coincidence or age talking. They're your body begging for attention. Slight balance loss. Maybe you wobble a bit when standing or reach for support more often. This can point to weakness in your ankle, knee, or hip joints. And though it might not hurt, it's a leading cause of falls in older adults. Falls that often result in hip or wrist fractures and can change a life overnight. Walking fatigue. If you used to stroll around the block easily, but now feel tired halfway through, your joints may be losing muscular support, or your posture might be compromising your mobility. None of these signs appear for no reason. What happens if you ignore them? A silent progression over years that one day becomes obvious. Osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, constant stiffness, dependence on a cane or walker, even loss of independence. But it doesn't have to be this way. Recognizing these symptoms is like having a flashlight in a dark forest. It gives you clarity, time, and options. You can strengthen before you weaken, adjust your diet, change habits, improve posture, and most importantly, prevent the minor from turning irreversible. Listen to your body. Don't wait for it to scream. Can the damage be reversed? At this point, you may be asking the key question. If I already have damage, is there anything I can do, or is it too late? It's an honest question, and here's an honest answer. You can't always reverse all the damage, but you can halt progression, improve, and even regain some of what's lost. Yes, even after 60, 70, and 80. Because although the body ages, it never stops responding to proper care. The important thing is to stop feeding the enemy and start strengthening your defenses. Let me tell you about Teresa, a 76-year-old woman diagnosed with moderate osteoarthritis in her knees. She struggled climbing stairs, avoided long walks, and had begun to consider a cane or assistance. Her doctor told her osteoarthritis is progressive and that mobility would eventually decline. But Teresa refused to resign herself. She changed her diet, eliminating processed meats, sugar, and refined flour, and began taking collagen with magnesium and turmeric. She didn't do intense exercise, only daily walks and gentle yoga sessions. She went to bed earlier, stopped screen time before sleep, and began sleeping deeply. The result? 1 year later, she not only didn't need a cane, she was back to pain-free park strolls. Her osteoarthritis hadn't vanished, but her body regained strength, flexibility, and stability. This isn't magic. It's active regeneration, a concept many ignore, but one that can transform your life. What does it entail? 4 pillars. 1. Nutrition. Your body needs building blocks. It can't repair bones on sugar or white flour. It requires bioavailable calcium, magnesium, vitamins D and K. 2. Hydrolyzed collagen and antioxidants found in sardines, almonds, broccoli, eggs, chia seeds, bone broth, leafy greens, turmeric, ginger, and selected supplements. 2. Mindful movement. Not marathons, but intelligent activity. Walking on firm ground, swimming, gentle stretching, balance and strength exercises, progressively. Even 20 minutes daily can be the difference between staying mobile or becoming dependent. 3. Real rest. Quality sleep isn't a luxury, it's a biological need. Deep sleep repairs tissues, regulates inflammation, and produces growth hormone, vital for bones and muscles. Fragmented or shallow sleep means no repair, so a healthy nighttime routine, no screens, light dinners, cool environment, can be as therapeutic as medicine. 4. Mindset. Yes, it matters. If you believe you can't improve, you stop trying. But understanding you can get better, even a little each week, unlocks something powerful: consistency. And with consistency, your body responds. Damage may be present, arthritis, osteoporosis, or stiffness, but that doesn't condemn you to suffering. You are not broken, lost, or alone. Wherever there is movement, willpower, and knowledge, there is room for improvement. Conclusion. We've reached the end of this journey. Now I invite you to pause and reflect. It's not just about living more years, it's about living them well, with mobility, with independence, being able to bend to tie your shoes without back pain, climb stairs without fear, walk in the park without worrying about falling. Your bones and joints aren't mere internal structures, they are your freedom. The freedom to go wherever you wish, to care for your grandchildren, do your own shopping, and remain yourself, unassisted. The real problem is that bones don't complain. They make no noise, send no flashing alerts, and don't wake you at night, until it's too late. Until one day you fall, or can't rise from the couch, or your hips simply won't cooperate, and everything changes. But you still have time. Time for small decisions with huge impact. Time to change habits, to inform yourself, and to begin today to protect what carries your body every day, without you even noticing. The 6 silent killers we covered aren't inevitable age decrees. They're foes you can detect and defeat. And the best part is, you don't need a fortune or radical changes. You only need awareness, consistency, and the desire to live fully, not just longer. If you've stayed until now, thank you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for caring for your body. Thank you for understanding that prevention is a form of self-love. Before I go, I have a simple but vital request. Do you know someone who always complains of bone or joint pain? A family member, friend, neighbor, even yourself? Share this video with them. Because sometimes timely information can prevent a fall, spare someone an operation, or restore someone's freedom. If you found this useful, please leave a comment below. I'd love to know which country you're watching from and how old you are. Tell me which part made you think most, or which of the 6 killers surprised you. Your experience can inspire others. If this content added value, give it a like. And to keep receiving videos like this, subscribe and ring the bell. That way you won't miss any new material we prepare with care, rigor, and a clear purpose, helping you live better every day.
See you soon. And remember, it's never too late to start caring for yourself.
Your bones support you, but you decide how to treat them.